Okay, right here is a 1966 International Payhauler 65B. Now before I actually take and show you around this truck, I'm going to tell you a little bit of company history. International-Harvester first entered the off-highway truck market in 1957 with the introduction of two trucks, and they were the models 65 and 95. Now the 65 that you're looking at right here was the company's smallest, and both turned out to be very popular, reliable little trucks for the general construction, quarry, and mining industry. So now I'll take and show you around a little bit. Originally, when the 65 was first introduced, the payload capacity was set at 18 tons. But later on in 1964, with the introduction of the newer B model, which you see right here, the payload capacity was increased up to 20 tons. And then finally in 1968, a newer C model came out with another increase in payload up to 22 tons. Now from this side you can get a real good view of the superstructure on this truck. And you can see how the superstructure bends upward to support the weight of the box. This truck has a single 3-stage hydraulic cylinder mounted in the center of the superstructure, which you can see right there, and this is what will raise and lower the dump box. This big round tank that you see that's mounted in between the dump box and the driver's cab is the diesel fuel tank. On this side, you can see the air intake, the air cleaner, and the pipe that will pull the cleaned air down into the engine. And one real cool thing about these old International Payhaulers is the unique design guard on the front of them. And you can see up top the decal for International-Harvester. Now let's talk a little bit about the engine. Originally, the International Payhauler 65 would be set up with an International DT817 diesel engine, which is 6-cylinder and would produce 250 horsepower. Now the International engine has been removed from this truck and replaced with the Detroit 671 diesel, which produces roughly around the same horsepower as the International would. This truck features Ross steering, which is hydraulic, and you can see where the steering rod connects down to your power steering, which then connects to your cylinder and your tie rods to turn the truck left or right. This truck, as you can see, features leaf spring suspension. On this side, this is the hydraulic oil tank on the 65, and these two small round tanks that you see mounted under the operator's cab are the air tanks to hold the PSI for the air brakes. Now I'll take you up inside the cab. Okay, this is the operator station on one of these old International 65 Payhaulers. As you can see, the inside of the cab is very plain. There's not a lot of interior designing. Inside this metal box you see here is what stores the batteries for the truck. And as you can see, this old truck is a stick shift. Let's talk a little bit about the transmission. Originally, these International 65 Payhaulers were set up with Fuller manual transmissions, which is exactly the transmission that's in this truck. Later on, International started to offer Allison power shift automatic transmissions, and slowly International started to replace the manual transmission with the automatic Allison. But International still would offer the manual Fuller transmission as an option for these trucks. And you can see on the floor your brake, clutch, and gas pedal, your gauges on your dash out front, and behind me, on my left side, this hand lever you see works the dump box. And there's a crystal clear operator's view if he were driving the truck. And because the inside of this cab is not very well insulated, as you can see, the cab picks up a lot of noise and vibration from the engine, and the cab also would get extremely hot in the summertime, which is why back in this time you didn't have air conditioning. You can see the metal fan that has been installed. This small truck has a top speed of about 35 miles an hour. Now, the Model 65 Payhauler was manufactured up until 1973, when the truck was finally discontinued. So as you can tell, this truck had a very long production run. In fact, the Model 65 was in production longer than the Model 95. And for those who might be wondering, as you can tell, this truck is in top condition. It's been very well looked after. This truck is owned by a local contractor who's been in business for a very, very long time. And the owner's grandfather, who started the company, first bought this truck back in 1966, brand new. And I guess you can say that this truck means something special to the owner. So, as you can see, he's taken very good care of it and still keeps it running. But there she is, a 1966 International Payhauler 65B.